I'm going to tell you one really effective thing that you can do in less than 5 minutes that's going to help you stop emotional and stress eating. Hi, Carrie Nygaard here with your tidbit about your brain as it relates to food and body. I have helped thousands of women in my free In Control with Food workshop, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of women in my Freedom with Body and Food program stop their struggle with food and body. And so often, one thing that leads to this overeating when it's attached to stress, to feelings of overwhelm, to feelings of frustration, is that what happens is that it feels so uncomfortable, all the thoughts and emotions that we're having about the circumstances in our life, that we then are seeking to avoid the pain of those emotions that were created by those thoughts. And I'll give you examples here in a minute that drive us to food to seek comfort. We're seeking comfort and escape from those uncomfortable emotions. So I'm going to give you some examples, and I've used this on myself many times throughout the years, and I've coached many clients through the same process. So oftentimes when we think there's so much to do, I'm getting behind, I'll never be enough to get this accomplished, we start spinning out in these thoughts that feel so true, but they're only thoughts, they're not facts. And not only that when we spin out in this type of thinking, it creates emotions like overwhelm and frustration and sometimes even depression, right? We feel overcome that we're not going to accomplish them. And we actually make that true and we shut down, okay? But these type of emotions feel so strong and uncomfortable that we're seeking comfort in going to food. We're seeking distraction, relief, and comfort in food from those emotions that were created by those types of thinking. So up here in our prefrontal cortex, our higher brain self, this is where we make conscious decisions. This is where we have the ability to reason. When you're thinking in thoughts like, I'm falling behind, I'll never get on top of this, I'll never accomplish this, blah, 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 there's so many things. When you're thinking like this and spinning out that type of thinking, you're down here in this lower brain parts, this primal brain, where everything is hyper-focused in on survival. And one way that it helps promote survival is to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So when you're thinking thoughts like, this is so difficult, we'll never accomplish this, your lower brain thinks these emotions that those thoughts are creating, like overwhelm and frustration, are so uncomfortable, we better seek some pleasure to keep us safe. And so you get these food urges, these food cravings, where you binge, where you graze all day, where you overeat, where you wake up in the night and eat, however it shows up for you. And it makes perfect sense. There's nothing wrong with you. All it's telling us is that you have a brain that's hardwired for survival, and it's doing what brains are designed to do, which is to keep us alive. But what we want to do, knowing that we have a conscious thinking self and that we have a lower brain survival obsessed self, I'm going to give you a quick tool of something you can do in less than 5 minutes to pattern interrupt this binging, this overeating. So what you do is you say, okay, brain, what are all the things that we have to do? So you ask yourself a really good question and you pick up a pen. This is the most important part. When we form language, that function is done up here in the prefrontal cortex. So now you're no longer in this primal spin out, unreasonable lower brain that's having all of these defense responses triggered. You're now up here in your prefrontal conscious thinking self that has the ability to reason as soon as you pick up a pen and begin to write. And what you do is you ask your brain an effective question, not an exasperated type question, but an effective, objective question, because your brain, this lower brain, is also a problem-solving machine. It doesn't like unanswered questions. It doesn't like unfinished stories. It likes to complete things. It likes to solve problems. So asking your brain really effective question is leveraging the power of your brain to your benefit. So you pick up a pen. So we get up in our prefrontal cortex because we're going to form language, and we're going to ask ourselves a good question, which is, what are all the things that I have to do? Or what are all the things that I am worried about? And then you list them out. So let's say you're feeling overwhelmed because of all the things you have to do. You list them out one by one. And I'll just give you examples from my life. It would be help child with assignment, clean kitchen, help with, like church project, maybe a few different filing business papers, paying bills, right? These type of list of things to do. And then when you get to the bottom of the list, okay, what else, brain? What else is there? And you get it all down. Okay, and then you ask your brain, and if you ask yourself, how long will it take for me to do each thing? Item number 1, it will take, we'll just say 30 minutes. Okay, if any of the items take longer than, I would say, 4 to 5 hours, then you need to break them up into smaller bits. Like that job all needs to be separated into 2 or 3 different jobs. And you write how long it will take to accomplish each thing. Now, what you have in there is something you formed in language, and now when your brain says, we have so much to do, blah, 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 and it's just spinning around and creating all this overwhelm and frustration and worry, you say, this is what we have to do, and this is how long it will take. Now I will just organize it in order of priority and go to work. I also like to ask myself, am I going to do all these things, or is there anything I can hire out that I'd be willing to hire out? And sometimes there is, and I do that. And then that's just a matter of a phone call usually. When we do it this way, we stop spinning out and we stop damming our progress forward, and we now become objective to getting the things done. And just by simply doing that, we've leveraged the power of our brain. We've got up to the conscious thinking part of our brain, and now we can see the actual list of what there is to do. We can see it. It's now here in the physical world. It's not this elusive thing spinning around in our brain, running amok. I call it brain drama dust. It's like kicking up all this dust that's disorienting. It's disorienting to seeing what the reality is, and the reality is I have this list to do. Okay, I'm just going to go to work at the list. Now, usually this settles these things down. Sometimes looking at the list, you may then feel like, oh, this is too much. All then I just tell myself is something my mother told me a long time ago. When I first went away to college, it was, several hundred miles away, and I was overwhelmed by all that there was to do. It was like finals week and I had lots of assignments, and I called my mom and I was in tears. And this is long before I was ever a life coach or even knew about all these things about my brain. But the wisdom of a mother, she said, Carrie, make a list, say a prayer, and get to work and give the rest to God. And so that thought has been really calming to my brain. I can only do what I can do. And after that, it has to just be what it is and give the rest to God. Make the list, write down how long each task will take you, organize it in order of priority, and just go to work. And if your brain still wants to spin out about it, you say, brain, I'm just going to do what I can do because that's all that there is to be done. And I will give the rest to my Creator. All right, that simple task of writing those things down is so powerful. It gets us up here in our conscious thinking self, quiets the survival responses of our lower brain, and helps us leverage what we know about our brains to our benefit. And by so doing this simple 5-minute activity with pen and paper, you're able to do a powerful pattern interrupt so that you're not trying to go to food all the time and binging or all day grazing to find relief from those emotions that you've been emotionally eating over. Give that a try. Thanks so much. In the description, go to the link to sign up for my free online workshop, In Control with Food. It will be occurring this month, September. It'll be at the end of the month, September, I think the 23rd through the 25th. Anyway, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it'll be on the link. Go check it out. I think I have the names right, or the dates right. And like and subscribe for more tidbits like this. Thanks so much.